So this week it was really interesting to read a lot about Harry Potter as someone who's never watched or read the series, but I am an avid reader, so I know what it's like to get frustrated or shocked when a film doesn't depict a character like you imagine them. I think that this is also the beauty of books sometimes compared to other visual media, because when there isn't a description, it's up to the reader to visualize the characters, and you can imagine them in different ways. With visual media you just can't because they're already presented to you. And I think this can be really awesome, like a black or a Hispanic girl reading the book Harry Potter and can picture Hermione looking like she does, and it makes her a more relatable character. But so this can make a book so relatable to so many people that everyone gets kind of attached to characters in their own ways, and I think it can make it a really personal thing. But also because of our internalized habits of whitewashing everything, a lot of people automatically picture a white person if something else isn't specified, which Amber said she does as well and mentioned, and also it relates to what Hannah said when she said just because she pictured Hermione as white doesn't mean that's who Hermione really is, which I think is a good point to make when reading books. So Hermione obviously doesn't really exist, and she is a different person to each reader. And if the films didn't come out, she could be anyone, but now it's obviously pictured as the white girl that she was filmed as in the movie. But I'd have to disagree with Hannah in the fact that I really liked that J.K. Rowling came out saying things like Dumbledore was gay, and that there was a Jewish character, and that other religions were represented in the books, but they were just never explicitly stated, which is really how the real world operates. We wouldn't know if the person sitting next to us is Jewish, bisexual, or whatever else because in a lot of context it just wouldn't come up. The problem with the movie was because it was never stated in the book, they just assumed everyone was white, straight, and had no other religion, so that's how they portrayed the world. In the author's world that she created, it was diverse, but other people could interpret it in different ways. And I hope that one day the default is this diverse world, and it doesn't explicitly need to be stated, but is just assumed. But obviously that's not the case right now. In the second set of materials, I related to a lot of the materials that talked about women's representation. This is something that always really has frustrated me, and I think it was said perfectly when one of the articles mentioned being female being looked at as a personality trait. And this does not just happen with women, but also happens with other underrepresented groups as well, such as people of color, LGBTQ plus people with disabilities, and so on. Just having one person there that fits that description doesn't mean that you're being inclusive. They should not have to stand there and be the representative for a whole diverse intersectional group of people that have contrasting opinions and contrasting backgrounds. And I think that happens way too often. Do you think by just giving one person a seat at the table that you're doing a great job and everything is fine? I mentioned in my article that this happens a lot when there's a first, such as a first female CEO or a first gay governor or anything like that. They're then looked at as if they mess this up, they're not just failing themselves, but they're failing this whole group that they're in because the whole cause will be set back, which is not fair to put on one single person. To end, I just wanted to bring up something that Maddie brought up that I thought was really interesting. And that was the treatment of bisexual people in the media, and her observations about it were really spot on and accurate. People that are bisexual just aren't taken seriously, and when they have relationships with people of the same sex, they're seen as just flings. This should be addressed more because I've heard criticism that bi people in general are also just left out of the LGBTQ plus community, which I have heard maybe it has improved. I know that was a really big criticism in the past. And to go with that, it just made me think of pansexual people, which I've actually never seen represented in the media, like outright. And I thought it was just interesting because that's a whole nother sexuality that people don't really address, and that could be a really, big group of people that aren't represented. Thanks.